everything is made in China. So all those people that go, oh well, it's cheap because it's made in China, everything's made in China. That's what they're good at, the Chinese. They make some wicked stuff. So don't complain about if it's made in China. Alright, so first off, the cage. And just for your information, I'm shooting on the Sony A7 III, and the cage that the Sony's in is also SMALLRIG. I love SMALLRIG. I think the value and the quality is generally very good. See how well the fitment is. Okay, so there is obviously a screw at the top. So if you look at the bottom, 2 little pins and then the screw. So I'm just going to drop that in for the first time on his Pocket 4K. Okay, so here we have my Blackmagic Pocket Cinema camera handheld rig, and this in no way is a totally original rig configuration from me. I watched a couple of videos on YouTube, and the rigs that were being used there, it's kind of like a hybrid of those two. So it's all SMALLRIG, and what I will do is I will kind of just reverse engineer the rig, and so you can see how it's actually made up. Now, first of all, we've got a small HD monitor which sits on a top handle. So what I will do is I'll just unscrew that first. Okay, and I'll unplug. And it's also got the lens hood. And the way I've got the lens hood attached to the small HD monitor is by simply using the SMALLRIG cage that you can also buy for the small HD monitor. And that just gives you a more secure fixing, and it gives you this really nice lens hood which is really simple to use, and I'll show you how that works in a minute. So we've got the top handle which obviously sits on top of the Blackmagic Pocket 4K SMALLRIG cage in general, and this is just a top handle, and at the front of the top handle here we can actually screw in a monitor mount, a swivel monitor mount. And then that allows us to obviously fix the monitor to the end of the handle, which makes it an all-in-one unit. Okay, so that's the handle. Also got that. I will for now unplug the microphone, which is a Trackstar, and that's just sat on top of the cage using an extended hot shoe, which is using an extended cold shoe bracket, because once you've put the monitor on, there isn't really anywhere else to put the microphone. So I'll put that on the end there. And then in terms of storage, I'm using a Wise 4K 512GB, very slimline, very lightweight SSD. And that sits on its own cold shoe bracket, which just screws directly into the top of the cage. Okay. Then we have at the bottom of the rig, we've got the carbon fiber rods which are fixed into a rod base plate type construction. And what's nice about this is you can obviously loosen the clamps here, and that allows you to actually move this entire system backwards and forwards depending on how compact you need it and how much of the screen you actually need to access. So you've got a lot of flexibility there. I'll just unplug that. So I'll just remove that whole system, and you'll see that this is 2 carbon fiber rods which go into a rod clamp, which then fits into a V-mount plate. and that's been added vertically to obviously allow the V-mount to connect in, and the actual connection is really good, and it's actually a very solid connection, and the V-mount battery doesn't move around a lot. You just press the button to release it. It's a really good system. I like that. Okay, so that allows you to obviously run much longer power solution with the V-mount rather than using the LPE6 batteries, which are obviously a bit crap. Now underneath the base plate here, we've got a normal 701 PL Manfrotto tripod plate, which is what I use for my tripods. And then the actual cable management, or the cables that we need, is we need a V-mount D-tap cable that goes into the 12 volt input at the side. And I'm using a KONDOR blue cable, which is a brilliant cable. It's got a little pullback connector, which gives you a really hard connection into the side, and it's really secure. And the wire they give you is not too long, so you can really kind of manage the cables. So that's connected there. And then we've obviously got the USB Type-C cable, which connects from the camera into the hard drive. And that is also connected in at the side, and that's quite a secure connection. And then we've got the HDMI to micro HDMI, which powers, which kind of operates the monitor. Now all these cables, and I'll show you on the close-up, have been routed. Now all these cables have been routed through the cage and then tied up at the top using the SSD Velcro strap that comes. And it's meant that all the cables are super secure, there's hardly any movement, and they're all tucked away. There's no cables hanging out from the side. I've also used this little cable grip, which is another SMALLRIG item. And what that does is I've clamped it in, and it holds onto the power cable, whilst at the same time making the HDMI cable a little bit more snug. It's putting a bit of pressure on it, and it's keeping it pushed in. Now the connections on the side of the pocket are quite good anyway, they're quite firm, so there isn't much movement in the system, and there isn't really anything to catch it on because it's still quite close to the profile of the cage. And speaking of the cage, it is a really nice cage. It's got a nice slim kind of profile, it fits really well, lots of mounting options and so forth. So that is the actual setup. So it's a really straightforward kind of system. I've got the Metabones XL 0.64 with the 2470 Canon L lens. This entire setup, when it's all together, is about five pounds. That's how much it weighs. The Ursa Mini 4.6K with the V-mount and the same lens is about 5.5 pounds. So it's bordering on the similar weight to that. So I'll just put all this together just so you can see how quick and easy it is to get all connected. We'll get the top handle in. We'll bring the monitor back up, and I'll screw that guy in nice and secure. And I really like this monitor swivel mount, it's really good. You know, it just allows for quick adjustment without any trouble. And then we will get this guy back in, which is obviously the HDMI cable, micro HDMI cable. That guy goes in there. We'll get the SSD clipped in, and it's as simple as that. Done. And obviously with the SSD, you can actually leave it connected to your PC, and just all your footage you can edit straight off the SSD if you don't want to upload it. We'll put that back straight in there, and then we'll tighten these guys at the bottom. 1 and 2. Simple as that. I'll get my V-mount on the back, and then what I'd like to do is I'd like to take this underneath, take it around the back, and then you can fit that guy in, and then we are set. Okay, so we've got our simple solution. Now what's nice about this rig is, as I mentioned, you can actually change the distance between the V-mount and the back of the camera. So right now I can quite easily see everything no problem. I could actually bring this a little bit closer, so it's a little bit more compact. I can still touch and reach everything, no problem. Remember, I'm obviously monitoring using the small HD. And now I've got that in a very nice compact setup there. And what's good is I can obviously hold it from underneath here. I can press the V-mount against my stomach. I can bring the monitor right up. I can bring my head right down and monitor this way. So I've got 1, 2, 3. I've got 4 points of contact, which makes this super stable. I can, of course, just hold it as so. I can get shots like this. I can hold just the back of the battery and I can get some really nice shots like this. I can, of course, just use the handle as well and the under grip. Again, I can press against my chest as well at the same time. There's an all manner of ways we can do that. And finally, I will just add on the microphone and then I'll route the wire back here and we're done. Okay, and that is literally the setup. And the reason I've set this rig up because I'm going to be shooting some handheld video and I need something that is stable yet still handheld. I don't want jitter, I want handheld movement, but I don't want any jitteriness. And having a heavier setup is going to prevent that because it's got a nice weight to it. And I need something that's going to be powered for a long period of time. I'm going to be shooting outside as well as inside. I'm going to be creating a sports, gym, athletic fitness video. I'm doing a car piece. I'm going to be doing a few different car pieces actually. And I want to create a bit of handheld movement. I don't want to be using any gimbals or anything like that. I want it to be more of an organic kind of feel rather than it floating around. So the rig is going to hopefully be really good for that. Anyway, that is it. If you want to know any more about the rig, leave me a question. That's it. Hopefully you found it useful. See you next time.